Welcome back to Tucson Raceway Park for the NASCAR West Series. I'm Rick Benjamin with Kenny Wallace, Bobby Gerald on pit road. Kenny, 250 laps here today.
93.7 miles around this racetrack, and the purse is $96,528.
Not quite $100,000 for these Winston West drivers, so we'll get down to business here in just a moment on a cool afternoon. Here's your first 10 starters. The pole sitter is John Baker. We met him a moment ago. And young Eric Norris. Austin Cameron and Kevin Richards will make up row 2 today. A couple of the strong runners in this series as we work through the top 10 starters. Your third row looks like this. Mark Reed, who won the last race at Vegas, and young Johnny Borneman, second-generation driver. In the fourth row, it's veteran Scott Gaylord and Bill Sedgwick, who has a win at this racetrack in 1995. In the fifth row, Joe Bean, who was so tough at Vegas, and Sean Woodside in the 45 car.
And in the sixth row, Troy Klein, and on his outside, Ross Thompson. Row 7 is Tony Schmidt and Steve Portengay, the legend on the Winston West side. Row 8, Brandon Ash and Sammy Patashnik. Row 9, Mike Duncan and Brendan Gaughan. Row 10, Tim Woods, the third, and the legend, Herschel McGriff.
And the final couple of rows here at Tucson. The 11th row is Jack Sellers with Matt Dillard in the 09. Sean Culp in the 27. Jeff Moore shotgun on the field from Irwin, Tennessee in the 6th car, the Lucas Oil Chevrolet Monte Carlo. About ready to go green here. Track safety crew out taking a look at things, but one of the field's entries today, Sean Culp, starting at the back of the pack, has early problems before we even put this under green. To Bobby Gerald.
Well, Rick, broken steering column is the reason that Sean Culp is climbing out of the car. And Sean, it's not supposed to happen like this. You're supposed to get to go racing. What happened?
It's just unfortunate. You know, we sat in the car. I pulled back on the steering wheel to plug the steering wheel in, and the whole shaft is moving. You know, it's just too dangerous.
All right, well, we're sorry to see you out of it before you even got to go.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's racing. You know, you got to live with it.
So Sean Culp will not take the green flag here today in the 27 car, qualified 23rd of the 24 starters here this afternoon. We're about set to get going. We'll have plenty of in-car looks for you, of course, here today. We'll be on board with Brendan Gaughan and the Napa Chevrolet, the 16 car. They'll be giving us a look through the front windshield, and you can bet that on a short track like this, we'll see plenty of action. Sean Woodside carries one of our cameras today as well, and the 45 car starts a little bit back in the pack here today, uncharacteristically. We'll also ride with Mark Reed, who won at Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago in the Food for Less Pontiac, and you see Mark has dropped all the way to the back of the pack after that brake master cylinder problem. Kevin Richards will have one of our cameras in the 85 car today as well. Richards, another good qualifying run. He starts third. And Eric Norris, who lines up on the outside pole out of Dallas, Texas, in the Janiking Ford Taurus. He was so strong at Phoenix, he gave Schrader all he could handle.
He did. I look for him to run good here. It's going to be cold at the start. Let's watch and see if these guys can get some heat in the tires and get the first couple laps under their belt.
John Baker in the 18 car. First Winston West start has the pole, and he leads him into turn 1. We're under green, but Norris will power around on the outside by half a car length. Norris is your early leader.
Look at that high line. Boy, that's the place to be. But number 18 of John Baker staying strong. This is his local track. He knows his way around here.
Baker and Norris are side by side. Everyone away clean. Right behind him is the 12 of Austin Cameron, establishing third spot. Kevin Richards in the 85 car drops to fourth. Norris trying to get to the inside and get around Baker.
He is, and I'll tell you what, the preferred line to keep that motor running down the straightaway is the outside. So, you know, I mean, this is pretty impressive right now. This is a great race in early going.
So Norris takes over. Here's Richards in the 85 looking down the straightaway. And you can see what Kenny was talking about there, how the high groove at the moment is the fast way around here at Tucson.
You know, this race track is awesome for what we're seeing right now. You know, if somebody wants to pass somebody, they're going to have to bite the bullet, go to the bottom. But when you go to the bottom, it's asking the motor to do more work up off the bottom. It's hard to make the pass.
Now, you may well have seen this racetrack many times. This is where NASCAR staged the Winter Heat Series for a couple of seasons back earlier in the 90s. Tough racetrack, very competitive, and we expect to see a great show here today.
Yeah, this racetrack, as you mentioned, created the Winter Heat. Here's a fight for the lead. John Baker trying to get on the inside of Eric Norris.
In that white Chevrolet to the inside of Norris's Janiking Ford, but Norris outpulls him coming off the fourth corner again.
That's what I meant by biting the bullet. Now he's taking a chance. Oh, we got a problem with the car getting off the track there.
Sure do. The 6 car, Jeff Moore from Irwin, Tennessee, the Lucas Oil Chevrolet. He slows down, pulls up through the gate there off of turn 2, and gets out of everybody's way. He's out of it early here.
Yeah, he is. That's a real shame to be out of this early. But, you know, this track amazes me. This track has brought so many, I guess you could say, famous race car drivers Greg Biffle, some of the ones that Jack Roush has picked in the last, say, 5 to 8 years have all started right here and put on a great show.
I remember a guy named Ron Hornaday who won a bunch of races here, too, over the years. Eric Norris continues to lead here. We're very early in this Tucson 250, not even to the 10-lap mark yet. Everybody running single file for the most part. Baker is second, Cameron is third, then Richards is fourth. But Kenny Wallace, some action deeper in the pack now. Guys starting to shake and bake a little bit.
Rick, you got Mark Reed starting to claw and scratch his way to the front. Looky there, he gets into it with the 49 a little bit. He wants to get up front. He's used to being up front.
Reed would have started fifth, except for that brake problem that knocked him to the back of the pack after they had to make repairs. Working on the 49 of Tony Schmidt for 15th spot right now. He's about the only guy using the low lane.
I love that wheel action. Look at there. He's got his car set up real neutral. He starts going to the corner, and he's turning right. He's trying to save it.
Now, we saw trouble early for the 6 car of Jeff Moore. He has gone behind the wall out of turn 2. Let's find out what happened. Here's Bobby Gerald.
Well, guys, the word on Jeff Moore is the car just wasn't competitive, and so they brought it in here to the pits and taking it all the way back around to the trailer. They are done for the day. The Tennessee driver, Jeff Moore, is out.
Tough break indeed for that crew. That's a long haul from Irwin, Tennessee, here to Tucson to run the NASCAR Winston West Series.
Man, hate to see them guys give up this early.
Tough break indeed. You see Norris continuing to run with about a 3-car length advantage over the pole sitter, John Baker. Much more to come from Tucson Raceway Park on Fox Sports Net. Back at Tucson Raceway Park in Tucson, Arizona, the Tucson 250, third race of the NASCAR Winston West season here in 2001. Mark Reed, series point leader, the winner at Las Vegas, trying to work his way to the front. Kenny Wallace, look at this. Kevin Richards to the inside of Cameron, battling for third here.
Oh, I love seeing this. I love seeing it. It's a short track. Look at him squeezing him up there. He's saying, buddy, I'm going to use your lane up. He's getting into John Baker's left rear there a little bit.
Now, just as we saw Reed work the inside, Richards becomes the second guy to take it down low and try to gain ground here.
You know, Rick, there's only one way to pass on this track if somebody's got the high side, and that's feed yourself down in the middle and then do that kind of slide like they do in sprint car racing. I'm coming up, buddy.
Richards has moved right up on the back deck lid of your race leader, Eric Norris, there in the Janet King Ford Taurus. Norris from the outside pole has led every lap so far, but now Richards has worked his way up to second.
You know what's interesting? Look in his mirror. Look in his mirror, race fans. It's just like a video game. You see all of them in your back. You just got to keep going. You're looking for that area to slide up, and you're using the guy up.
Speaking of using things up, Kevin Richards is using up the racetrack to get to second now. As we mentioned, he's right behind Norris. And look at this. Austin Cameron has followed him through to third. That drops Baker all the way back to fourth. And here comes Richards on the low side for the lead now.
I think it's incredible how Richards puts his right front right on Eric Norris's left rear, just kind of ever so slightly, just uses him up. And look at this now. Now he's going for it. This is an exciting racetrack.
Very competitive for the NASCAR Winston West Series, and Kevin Richards now moves around Eric Norris. So our first lead change of the day here at Tucson Raceway Park. Richards in the 85 car started toward the front here this afternoon. It's taken him less than 20 laps to come from third spot to the lead, and Baker, who is on the pole, shuffles all the way back to fourth. Now, if you're John Baker, you've never run these 3,400-pound race cars before, so we watch the two leaders. Is that a smart thing to do, settle back in there and just ride for a while? Most
definitely, you know, because this is a racetrack where you can use those tires up in a hurry. So I think the guy riding, I kind of like Austin Cameron right now, Rick. I like him. He's just sitting there. What I mean by it, he's sitting there saving those tires, riding high. Now, look, Mark's fast. And what he's got going for him right now is he's got a fast car. What he doesn't have going for him is he's using them tires up. He's trying to get back up front.
Reed in the 4. You just saw a moment ago there. He had worked his way to 10th. He went around Joe Bean for 9th. Meantime, here's a race for second, the 12. Cameron trying to get to the inside as we watch Reed work around the 45 of Sean Woodside. So Reed picks off another spot. He is just moving through this field very quickly here this afternoon.
It's a show. Mark's putting on a driving clinic right now. He's trying to get up there and fight with the lead. Here's Sean looking down there saying, gosh, I got to keep up with him and get to the front.
And up front again, looks like a change for second spot. Austin Cameron will dive to the inside of Eric Norris's machine and take over second spot by a bumper. As we show you the rest of the scoring up in the top left of your screen here. 20 laps are on the board at Tucson Raceway Park. And Kevin Richards now has opened up 6 or 7 car lengths over Cameron.
I got to tell you, I think Kevin Richards is liking his race car right now. He took that lead, and now he's got it up high, taking it easy on those tires.
Let's talk race strategy just for a moment. 250 laps. We have a mandatory caution period with a red flag, 5-minute stop in the middle. That's going to be your only chance for fuel and tires. How do you play this?
Well, what you do right now is you're studying your race car. Kevin's in the driving seat. Austin's looking good, and Eric's looking good. Top 3, they broke away. They don't have nobody riding. So right now, those top 3, they're driving their hearts out. But every once in a while, they're going, boy, my car's pushing. And when I pit, I'm probably going to tell the crew to do this. And they do all this in maybe, a second and a half in their brain.
Sure.
And so they're getting geared up, trying to be able to tell their crew what they need to do to make that adjustment.
Johnny Borneman now in the 8 car has gotten by Baker, your pole sitter in the 18, so he's shuffled all the way back to 5th. Sedgwick in the 24 in the frame as well. They're 6th. Meantime, here's Reed. He's gotten by Woodside and also Scott Gaylord to the 00. So give Reed another couple of spots as he continues his climb to the front.
That 00 car is a legendary car. I've seen that car for years out here on the West Coast.
Scott Gaylord, the veteran former road racer. He's been a Winston West Series regular for several seasons now, doing a great job in that car. Had a rough go at Phoenix and then a really rough go at Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, where there were just wrecks everywhere all night long, and it was more a battle of survival. Mark Reed, who won, about the only driver to bring his car home clean. No scuffs, no dents, no dings on that car. Joe Bean finished on 3 wheels for all intents and purposes. Kevin Richards was a factor there as well, but his car had a lot of damage to it by the time the checkered fell. He's already got 1 tire scuff on that race car, getting his way to the front here today.
And as you look at the top of that TV screen, my hero, Austin Cameron, is starting to make a move on Kevin.
As we watch the field funnel by, putting the 15 car a lap down already. That's Jack Sellers from Sacramento in the white Chevrolet, going a lap down to your race leader Richards in that Monte Carlo, who's just doing a great job. Now, here's Reed knocking on the door of Bill Sedgwick in the DuPont Chevrolet, the 24. Baker right in front of him, Woodside at the 45, and still Reed, the only guy to venture down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Race fans, I know you're watching this TV and you're tired of hearing about Mark Reed, but that's the story. He's up, what is he, up in the top 5 or 6 right now?
Just about. Just got his way to 5th by getting around Sedgwick there. Reed working that low lane perfectly. Now, how would you set up your race car to be able to go to the bottom here when everybody else is running 2 car widths up off the racetrack to be fast? What do you do to your race car to make it work at the bottom?
Okay, the important thing is watch his hands right now. Well, you've seen what was going on. He's got his car set up to where it's not pushing. He's entering the corner, he's barely turning right, then he's turning left. What that means is he's got his car set up to keep turning to the left. What happens if you get that car set up too tight, he goes and he turns the wheel and his car just goes straight up the track. He's very neutral, Rick. He's able to turn around the bottom of the track, and I can tell that by watching his in-car camera, watching his hands.
So Reed in the yellow 4 car there, right behind Baker at the moment as they battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. A couple of other competitors. Baker in the 18 was your pole sitter. Sedgwick in the red 24 right behind Reed, and Sean Woodside trails that group of cars in the blue 45. So you've got some great competitors there in 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
I think what I'm seeing right now is Mark Reed has been on the bottom so much, passing everybody. Now he's got to train himself to get back up top.
Will that wear the tires more the way he's been going low? He's binding the car up, I would think, by turning tight in the corner.
It's going to wear the tires out, but here's the great thing. It's the Winston West Series. They're going to pit at lap 125. So hopefully by the time his car is spent, it's going to be time to pit.
And there'll be some caution laps right before that 5-minute break at the midpoint. Meantime, Kevin Richards has got nothing to worry about. He's got clean racetrack in front of him and nobody behind him.
Yeah, his car looks good too. That left front is picking up. It's rotating weight back on the right rear. He's getting tremendous bite. And his car just looks really good right now, and he's setting sail. You know, Rick, I love this racetrack. What racetrack do you go to besides maybe Darlington? We got trouble.
We do. The 11 of Troy Klein has spun here on the front straightaway. Yellow is out on the speedway. First caution of the afternoon. Troy Klein, the former SCRA sprint car star. He certainly ought to know how to handle a loose race car, having driven on dirt for several seasons. Klein in the 11 spins it right on the front stretch, and the caution is waving. Klein refires that Chevrolet, and he'll come back around, rejoin the field.
And he's okay.
Sure is. 1 car involved. No other cars involved in that at all.
You know, Rick, right before this, I was going to say, what racetrack can you go to maybe besides Darlington where you're just running, you're just skimming the wall all the way around?
That's the way it seems to be the quick way around here so far. Klein started 11th in the 11 car today. He'll settle back in now behind Brendan Gaughan. Your leader continues to be Kevin Richards in the Monaco Home Improvement 85 car. We'll be back with much more in a moment. Welcome back to Tucson Raceway Park, Tucson, Arizona, the Tucson 250 for the NASCAR Winston West Series. And there's trouble for a driver who led early. Eric Norris has just about stopped on the racetrack, Kenny Wallace.
Rick, this is big. I don't know what's going on. In-car camera, let's see if we can see what's going on.
Stalled the car, evidently.
I don't think we got to stall. I think we broke something. Okay,
sounds like he's on the starter button.
We were quiet for a while. Listen. Okay, he quit. There he is. Okay, we got a problem with it sounds to me like the distributor. He's turning the motor over. There's no fire, there's no ignition. My bet, something in the distributor, broke a rotor button, broke a timing chain belt, something like that. So we'll check into this later on. Right now, that was great in-car video there to try to get us up to speed what's going on with that car.
Track safety crew will give the Janet King Ford a push and bring Norris around to the pit area, which here at Tucson is not in the infield. There's no pit road here as such. The cars have to leave the track up at the top of turn 2. They'll re-enter there as well. As we've already seen with Jeff Moore's machine, if you go out there, it takes a long time to come back. Moore, in fact, decided to park his car. So we're under caution, waiting for the restart after the Troy Klein spin, and Eric Norris apparently will not be able to restart and take the green flag. The guy who's dominated, though, the last 15 or 20 laps, the 85 of Kevin Richards. Now we get a look at the 27 car, Sean Culp, the Fierce Creature Racing Chevrolet. Culp, you'll remember, didn't start the race because he had problems with the steering shaft in that car. Evidently, they've fixed it and gotten him back out of there. So Culp will rejoin at the rear of the field as we get ready to restart. Kevin Richards talked to us earlier today about his chances of winning here at Tucson.
Well, I think we got a good shot at winning this race today. We practiced awful fast. Got a flat tire when we were qualifying, so we ended up third, but we're happy with that. I kind of thought we gave away one in Vegas. We had a good car there, so hopefully it's that good today and we can run her to the front.
He has run to the front quickly after starting third, got right to the lead within the first 10 or 12 laps, and Kenny, he looks awfully strong.
And he sounds confident. Did you hear him before the race? Okay, we're going green, and he gets a pretty good start here.
Coming to the green flag at Tucson, up on the high side. The lead lap cars are single file there. The lap traffic down low. Austin Cameron restarts second in the 12. Your leader is Richards. Johnny Borneman in the 8, moving right into third spot. And Borneman has been on the move these last several laps.
He sure is. Look at him all the way up to third there. My man Austin looks awfully racy. You know, he's a really smooth driver. And look at him sideways there. Go, Austin.
John Baker in the 18, your pole sitter, back up to third spot now. It's Richards, Cameron, and Baker. Mark Reed in the 4, who'd gotten to 5th, settles into that spot. Johnny Borneman has gotten around the 4, so give Borneman 4th. 5th to Reed, 6th to Bill Sedgwick now as we close in on 50 laps.
Man, what a great race. Look at that number 8 of a Borneman. He's up there high, wide, and handsome.
Very strong young second-generation driver doing a very nice job here in that Ford Taurus this afternoon. Reed settles in behind him in 5th. Reed is certainly a guy to watch because he dominated at Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. And don't forget about Sedgwick. Meantime, what happened to Eric Norris? Let's find out. Here's Bobby Gerald.
Well, whatever the problem was, it has been remedied now as Eric Norris heads back out into the fight. The green flag's waving, though, so he lost some time, guys.
Sure did. He had to pit under the caution, but he missed the restart, so Kenny, that may cost him 5 laps.
Yeah, but the most important thing is here, Rick, is these guys run for points. Even though he's a little depressed right now, he's not going to win this race. He's got to go out there. He's got to keep his car out of trouble and get some points.
Taking a look at that battle for 4th, the 4 of Mark Reed, the yellow Pontiac there, trying to close in on Johnny Borneman's Ford, the blue and white number 8. And Bill Sedgwick just watching in the 24, the red DuPont Chevrolet there. He rides in 6th. And a call, too, to the 49. Tony Schmidt started 13th. He's right there in 7th spot in that white Pontiac.
I love this Mark Reed. He's tenacious right now, Rick. Look at him. He's all over Borneman. He's just sawing the rear bumper off.
And we've got to give a call to Baker in the 18. The rookie who's never run a Winston West race before, started on the pole, dropped back as deep as 5th in the field. He's climbed back up to 3rd now, and he's settled in there. You
know, John Baker, we've got to talk about him. He's run around here a lot, but I'm going to tell you what, these are 500-pound heavier cars than what he's used to driving. He's doing a great job running up in the top 5.
And how fast is Kevin Richards? Steve Portengay in the 3, who was so strong, led a lot of laps in Las Vegas. He's about to go a lap down to your race leader.
Yeah, Portengay's looking in his mirror and go, no way. I'm the man. There's no way I'm supposed to be getting lapped on this racetrack. But you know what, race fans? This is an incredible sport. It's tough, and he's getting up on that wheel right now. He does not want to go down a lap.
As we watch Baker, you got a glimpse of Baker there dropping back a couple of more positions. Cameron now is 2nd. There's the 8 of Borneman. He's up to 3rd. Baker has shuffled back to 5th, so Reed in the 4 has gotten that machine up to 4th spot as we work past the 50-lap mark here. 125 will be the halfway point, of course, and that'll also be the time for the mandatory pit stop, a 5-minute break, because there is no pit road here in the infield at Tucson to allow for green flag pit stops. Here's Richards, your leader. Got an almost entire straightaway on the 2nd place car of Cameron.
He sure does. You know, Rick, one thing I've just noticed here, I think something might have happened to Portengay, because looky now, looky here. He was about ready to go down a lap. Now he's gone.
Just looking up in the rearview mirror might be enough to make a driver push the button a little bit harder. Kevin Richards is on the button hard. We're at Tucson for Winston West Racing. We'll be back. Welcome back to Tucson Raceway Park, the Tucson 250, the NASCAR Winston West Series. Here on Fox Sports Net. I'm Rick Benjamin with Winston Cup star Kenny Wallace, Bobby Gerald on pit road. And we are under green once again as we take a look at the racetrack. We saw Sammy Potashnik there briefly in the 65 car. He's trying to move up. Potashnik in the Lucas Oil Chevrolet. Running there with Joe Bean's machine, the 77. Troy Klein, who spun earlier. Potashnik started back in 16th spot, but he has gained a couple of positions. He's running about 10th right now as we get closer to the 100-lap mark, and that'll put us within shouting distance of halfway.
This is a great race. Look at Brendan Gaughan, the Napa car. He's trying to search out a different groove. I've seen this work before. He's down on the bottom. He's trying to find some fresh pavement.
Now the guys are working from the top side to the groove right next to it. Brendan really wants to find a whole new route down around the white line.
Well, Brendan is realizing right now that he's not going to pass any of these guys on the outside because they're on the outside. So he's trying to make something happen, and you got to admire that. He's trying to make it happen.
Working to the inside even of Potashnik. Now Potashnik in the 65 there is kind of using the line that Mark Reed used to success earlier and that Kevin Richards used to grab the lead in this race. But Brendan's certainly trying to turn even lower on the racetrack.
Okay, now he's searching the middle out there on entry, and now right on the bottom, He's entering in the middle of the racetrack and trying to keep that motor running up off the corner. The problem with running the bottom right there is that it kills the motor coming off of the corner right there. It bogs him down.
Although Gaughan is using the low line here to some advantage right now. He's working around Mike Duncan's 9 car, trying to get up inside of Joe Bean's Ford, the 77, following Potashnik toward the front at this point.
I'm going to tell you what, you can say what you want to say, but this is one great race. I mean, a 250-lap race here at Tucson, it's incredible. Look at this.
It's been clean so far, and we've seen 3-wide racing here in the early going on a lot of parts of this racetrack. A lot of activity, though, behind the wall over in turn 2. Let's check in back there with Bobby Gerald.
Well, Rick and Kenny, we just got word from the Borneman crew in car number 8. He has reported that he's got a little bit of a problem with the right front tire now. They thought it was serious enough to bring him in for a tire change, but then he just took over 4th place, so they decided to leave him out there a few more laps, but maybe something wrong with the right front for Johnny Borneman.
Now that would be tough indeed. Borneman running up in the top 4 for the last 15 or 20 laps. Meantime, here's Bill Sedgwick in the 24, trying to hold Potashnik back. Potashnik on the move, coming up toward 5th spot now. He's going to get inside of Sedgwick there and grab the position.
I tell you what, Potashnik's got a really quick car. Did you see that move he made on Borneman? He just made it, and that was it.
He's making that car work awfully well down low, and that is not the preferred line. We've seen the 92 of Ross Thompson in the mix there as well. Thompson, if you remember our last event at Las Vegas, that car was heavily damaged. He started up front, led for a few laps, but ended up with not much to bring home except a lot of pieces in that race car. Here's Borneman behind Cameron, challenging him for second now. I guess they don't have tire woes at the moment. Look at him go to the inside.
Is that racing or what, race fans? That right front was right in that left rear. Just so beautiful.
And he can lean on Cameron perhaps to get the spot away.
Man, oh man. Borneman on the inside of Cameron here, and Cameron's saying, I know I'm going to get hit at any time right now. There it was.
And all it takes on a track like this is a little tap in that left rear, and you're going around.
Yeah, it does. And, you know, Austin knows it's coming. I mean, Johnny wants that spot. He wants to be running second, and pretty soon here he's just going to have to get back in line and cool his tires down and then make the run again.
Very prescient of you, Mr. Wallace. Look at this move to the inside for Borneman on the front straightaway. 1 second, and he's going to get it, I believe, from Cameron.
This is great. Just when I thought he was going to be patient and stay in line, he gets into the 12 on the left rear and makes an easy move.
Meantime, one of the drivers we thought would contend, Scott Gaylord of the 00, he dives into the pits off of turn 2 there. Let's find out what's happening to the Oliver Chevrolet. Back to Bobby Gerald.
Scott Gaylord coming into the pits, obviously unscheduled. You wanted to wait until lap 125 when they throw the red flag, but he had a right rear tire that was going down. That was the report from Scott Gaylord. So he comes in, he'll take on the right side tires, and they'll fill him up with gas, and he's down and away.
So Gaylord will lose a couple of laps in the exchange as well. Meantime, there's Herschel McGriff going a lap down to the 85 of Kevin Richards. Richards just killing him here at Tucson so far.
He's on a sunny afternoon on Sunday. He's having a good time.
Having a great afternoon. Crews waiting for the halfway break at Tucson. Back with more on Fox Sports Net. We're back at Tucson Raceway Park, Tucson, Arizona, the NASCAR Winston West Series here on Fox Sports Net. I'm Rick Benjamin, Winston Cup star Kenny Wallace alongside. Bobby Gerald patrolling the pit area for us here at Tucson today. coming up on lap number 80 in just a couple of moments. And Kenny, this is a great battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th. And you see the 9 of Mike Duncan, the 24 of Sedgwick, Brendan Gaughan in this mix, and just a host of guys who want a good finishing position today.
And did you see that? Gaylord came out of the pits after getting those fresh right sides and stacked them up four wide. It's incredible.
Now, Gaylord had tire concerns, and some of the other drivers are concerned as well. Let's go back to Bobby.
Well, you can see what a right rear tire can do to the pits here. It's got everybody in a bit of a concern as they all come in to check on Scott Gaylord's right rear that just came off. He said that the tire was going down, and that's the reason they came in for the unscheduled stop. And now everybody all up and down the pits coming over to take a look at that tire to see, you know, just maybe get a gauge on how their right rear is wearing out there on the racetrack.
Looked like there was a huge chunk, huge blister out of that tire.
Yeah, it sure did. You know, these guys are on the right rear a lot on this racetrack.
Now take a look at the 54. Tim Woods III from California, young African-American driver, racing his way into the top 10. He started 19th there today. Very limited Winston West experience. This is only his 4th career start.
You know, this is great for the sport. African-American driver. You know, Tim Woods III. I mean, did you see the movie made right there?
Yeah.
Went low to take that top 10 spot, and I mean, he looks really good today.
Battling up in front. How about this? Johnny Borneman, they were worried about tires on the 8 car. He's challenging Richards now in the 85. First time Richards has had anybody close to him.
Rick, I'm stunned. I mean, we're talking about Tim Woods, and wow, here it is, a fight for the lead. We thought Kevin Richards was on a sunny afternoon drive,
yeah.
and look at here with Borneman all over him.
Borneman has picked up the pace considerably to close right up on the back deck lid of the 85. The yellow and green Chevrolet, piloted by Richards, started 3rd today. Grabbed the lead pretty early on. Borneman from 6th starting position, meantime, is all over him as they hit turn 1.
You know, this is just the way racing is. You know, Richards is up there thinking, man, I got a great car. I can't see nobody in my mirror. Borneman's just trying to get past Cameron for 2nd, and he's in the lead now.
And here's the battle for 3rd. Austin Cameron in the 12 trying to hold off Mark Reed, the series point leader who won the last race at Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. Borneman, meantime, now turning inside of Richards, so he's using that low side. Little contact there, huh?
I'm laughing because everybody that makes a really strong pass right here uses up the guy's left side, and that's just this type of racetrack. You can't help but to do it.
Lap 79 on the board, and Borneman goes by. So give the 8 car, the Redline Oil Ford, the lead. And we watch on board from Kevin Richards' machine. And now Borneman, we'll see if Richards was holding him up.
Yeah, exactly. I got to think that Borneman was thrilled to death to get that lead because now he can run his groove. Ooh, he's driving in the corner a lot deeper, Borneman is. It's a great thing about this in-car camera.
Sure is. Gives you a chance to see just what sort of driving style these different Winston West runners use here at the short track of Tucson Raceway Park. Now Reed, who started so far back, trying to get underneath Austin Cameron for 3rd spot in that Pontiac.
Now this yellow car, Mark Reed, started last because he went to the back of the pack for a problem he had before the race, and he's all the way up into almost 3rd.
Now look at how he's working the wheel. You talked about how watching the driver's hands tells you how the car's set up. Looks to me, Kenny, like the car's starting to push up the racetrack a little bit.
He's very neutral. He's hardly turning left.
Now Mark Reed's crew is concerned. We're hearing there may be a problem with the 4 car. Let's go to Bobby and find out.
Well, Rick, I tell you, we've just been talking with the crew down here on the Food for Less entry, and they say that Mark Reed is now reporting problems with his right rear tire. It feels like it's going down. They're having a discussion right now about whether or not to bring the Food for Less car in. Right now, he stays out on the racetrack.
So Reed will hang on and try to battle for 3rd. Why would the right rear tires be the issue?
You know, Rick, this is a circle racetrack. Take a good look at it. You're always making a circle. And so what's happening is you can't afford to turn on the right front a lot. So these drivers have the car set up neutral. Neutral meaning, you know, the car in a 4-wheel slide to the rear end coming around a little bit. So they're favoring the right rear tire. And when you favor the right rear tire, that's the tire that's going to get all the heat on it. And they're wearing it out real quick.
Most of the weight of the car will transfer to that right rear when you're around the track anywhere.
That's right, anywhere. But some tracks, you always want the wearing to go onto the right front tire. When you run these big racetracks, say Atlanta, Georgia, you know, big racetracks, high speed, you always want to favor the right front because you can't afford at a high speed of 200 mile an hour for the rear end to come around. This track here, the speeds are lower, the drivers are more in control, and can control a loose car a lot easier.
There's the 9 of Duncan. Tim Woods moving up. He's going to go by the pole sitter today, the 18 of John Baker, to grab a spot. And here's Austin Cameron now trying to hold off Mark Reed and Duncan. There's Duncan in the 9 car. Reed is gone at this point, the 54 of Woods, so Cameron starting to back up now as we get toward halfway.
Yeah, I think these guys right now are Tim Woods doing a great job moving to the front. Austin Cameron moving to the back saying, what lap is it? My gosh, I got to get in the pits. I got to get me some tires on. This is not right.
Cameron starting to backpedal. The 12 cars handling apparently going away. Scott Gaylord you saw there for a moment on the low side trying to get up toward the front, maybe get one of his laps back in that 00 car. He's got the fresh rubber. Here's your leader. Borneman got by Richards just a couple of moments ago.
Earlier before the race started, all I heard was these guys wish they didn't have to go all the way to 125 laps. That's a lot of laps at this racetrack.
And it may have helped Johnny Borneman considerably. We're going to take a timeout here at Tucson Raceway Park, find out more about the tire situation as we get closer to the mid-race pit stop. Welcome back to the Tucson 250, Tucson Raceway Park, the NASCAR Winston West Series here on Fox Sports Net. I'm Rick Benjamin. Winston Cup star Kenny Wallace is alongside Bobby Gerald in the garage area for us here today. As we watch some action a little deeper in the pack now, Sammy Potashnik there in the 65, Troy Klein in the 11, Ross Thompson in the 92, and there you see on the outside Austin Cameron. Your boy Austin has been backpedaling, Kenny Wallace. He's back to about 8th spot now.
Yeah, I'm studying that car. I think his 4 tires are shot, and particularly that right rear. I like Austin because he's a smooth driver. Plus, his name's Austin.
And we also like the 00, Scott Gaylord, former road racer. He pitted early for a couple of tires, lost a couple of laps in the exchange, but he may be the fastest car out there right now.
Yeah, definitely. With new right side tires on this racetrack, wears those right sides. Now, what's happening here, Rick, is you see the pace slowing up. You can visibly see Mark Reed's tires are gone. So right now what he's thinking is, what do I got to do to make my car better when we go red flag here?
Reed in the 4 car sits 3rd. Mike Duncan in the 9 is 4th. He's very new to the Winston West Series as well. Had a good run at Las Vegas, was slow early, but they got that car a lot faster late in the going, and he came home in the 9 car with a very good top 5 finish.
Now, what we're seeing here is, okay, now this is big because, at the end of the race, at the end of 250 lap race, which car is going to be faster? That number 8 right there that's leading this race, or that number 9 that's coming to the front right now?
Hard to say, but right now Johnny Borneman in the 8 car, clearly the fastest race car out there, and he moves up on Brendan Gaughan in the Napa Chevrolet, the 16. He's got to put Gaughan a lap down, I think.
Yeah, this is big right here. Brendan's not liking this. This is big for the Winston West. Brendan hasn't been lapped in a long time.
Brendan Gaughan, you're on board that Chevrolet, and there goes your race leader, the 8 car Borneman, right inside him to drop him 1 lap down.
I think Brendan at this point's got to realize, hey, it's not my day right now. And when he gets those 4 tires at lap 125, line up on the inside, try to get his lap back later on.
Another guy who's about to go a lap down too, the 77 of Joe Bean, and Bean in the outside there in that blue and white Taurus. He was such a strong race car at Las Vegas. I thought we'd see a lot more from him here today as well.
Man, look at this speed shot. You can tell with these guys when they start getting sideways up off this corner, you can tell who's really spinning the right rear.
Gaylord now 3 laps down after getting 1 of his laps back. He's in front of Borneman there. He's going to try to make up some of that ground before we come to the halfway point. Now there'll be a few laps of caution at 125. At 125 laps or halfway, there'll be a red flag, a 5-minute break for the teams to have their mandatory pit stop. They'll add fuel, change tires, do any other work they need within 5 minutes, and then we'll get a couple of more caution laps, reform the field, and go for the second half of the race. Here's the 85 of Kevin Richards. He is backpedaling now. Herschel McGriff is going to go by. Looks like Richards is really slowing down on the racetrack. He's got a problem, and that's a tough break because he was the strongest car for much of the first 100 laps.
And it slowly has been progressing. You can tell he's been slower and slower. We don't know what's wrong yet. We can only oh, look, maybe it looks.
Does he have a tire down there?
It almost looked like a left front tire, but I think he's maybe. Yeah, he's switching around because he wouldn't be in the way like that. He's grabbing for something, trying to get this car back up to speed. May have an ignition box failure.
Definitely sounds like the engine is running poorly as we're on board in Richard's Chevrolet.
Wow, that's a shame. I'll tell you what, look at the tach. Look at the tachometer. See that?
Yep.
Okay, that means he's already switched to the second ignition box, and it's not working.
Wow.
That tells you he's got ignition problems right there.
Tough break indeed for the early race leader, Kevin Richards, who jumped out in front within the first 20 laps and led much of the next 65 or 70 laps before giving way to this car, the 8, and Johnny Borneman. And Borneman now has set sail.
I tell you, Rick, I got to love that in-car camera again. Here me and
Sure.
you are. We don't know what's wrong with the guy that has dominated this whole race. We go to the in-car camera, we see the tach not working. That's a pretty good idea. We got ignition problems on Kevin Richards, and there he goes.
Richards over and out over in turn 2, and he'll come to the attention of his crew, and this really hurts. This is way early. They're going to stop the car, raise the hood. The engine's still running. Richards looking on, pretty helpless feeling, I'm sure. Bobby Gerald getting in position for us. Bobby, what do you know about the Monaco Enterprises Chevrolet?
Well, guys, this does not look good for Kevin Richards at car number 85. He's pulled in, and immediately the hood goes up. So not a good deal right here. As soon as we can get a word with one of the crew members, we will pass it on to you.
You know, Rick, what's kind of got me stunned here is when I seen that the tack was not working, I'm thinking electrical. They're putting it up on 4 jack stands. I'm watching right now. Nobody's underneath. Now, they could have been on the left side looking at the battery, so we could have battery problems.
Wonder if something's wrong with the drivetrain of the car. Are they getting under there to take a look at the gearbox?
Yeah, I think right now we're just doing a lot of wondering. And right now they're watching this race on replay and saying they don't know what they're talking about.
Scott Gaylord continues to be very quick in the Oliver Chevrolet, the 00, but the guy who's slowing also besides Richards, how about Austin Cameron? We saw the 12 car on the high side. He too is backing up. There he is. Looks like he may go a lap down.
He's surviving for his life right now. I mean, he's done, and done means those 4 tires are wore out. He's doing everything he can do to keep the car off the wall.
As we watch him run with John Baker, the pole sitter, there's Mark Reed in the 4 car. Some of these cars, we know Cameron is a lap down. Let's go back to pit road for Bobby Gerald.
Well, Rick, the news is not good for Kevin Richards. A problem with the alternator is the word. The hood is up. They're working on it right now, but obviously this cost him way too much time, and it will cost him any chance at a win today.
Boy, that is tough. In the 85 car, Richards, we heard from him earlier, thought he had a race car good enough to win. Very confident, as you said, Kenny Wallace. And there they are up on jack stands with an alternator problem. It's going to take him quite a while to fix.
And the thing we got to remember about Kevin Richards is he did have the car to win. That's the bottom line. He's gonna go home and he's gonna feel bad about it, but he can tell everybody, hey, look, we were leading. You know, we were leading the race and lost an alternator. So, you know, Rick, we were all over that problem. We just didn't get the alternator right.
Well, all over him right now is Johnny Borneman in the 8 car. He is just dominating this race after taking over from Richards a few laps ago. Working toward halfway on the mandatory break. Borneman about to put Joe Bean another lap down. Tires, they're on bias ply Hoosiers on this short track. They're a concern. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Tucson 250, Tucson Raceway Park in Tucson, Arizona, here on Fox Sports Net. NASCAR Winston West Series. I'm Rick Benjamin, Kenny Wallace alongside. Johnny Borneman dominating the show right now. Kenny Wallace, you got to like this youngster. Ran 5 races 1 year ago to preserve his rookie status. This really is rookie season in Winston West, and he could be on his way to a victory in just his 3rd try this year.
There's nothing else better than a win in your rookie season to help win the Rookie of the Year title. And let me tell you, the Rookie of the Year title is a good feather in your cap.
And how about Tim Woods III up to 2nd spot from 19th now, the Chino Hills Ford Taurus. Young driver doing a terrific job. Really like what we've seen out of him so far
Man,
this year.
this is great. I mean, I'm thoroughly impressed by Tim Woods. I mean, he looks aggressive when he's got to be aggressive. I mean, to come through this pack like Tim Woods has, look, there's no marks on that car. That's a sign of a great race car driver.
And he has moved up to challenge Borneman now. Only about 8 cars remaining on the lead lap. Woods is 2nd, right behind Borneman. The thing about Woods, I'll tell you, a guy named Jack Roush really knows young driving talent. He has signed Woods already to an option for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series for next year.
There's something about this racetrack, race fans, because Jack Roush signs drivers that run good at Tucson Raceway. Any way you look at it. Biffle ran good here. Hornaday come from here, and it's all to do with this TV. Oh, Roush must sit down and just watch our Fox network and watch all these up-and-coming drivers from the West Coast.
I bet he is, as we watch Borneman and Woods right behind him in the 54. They're threading their way through lap traffic. They're going to put John Baker, the pole sitter here, a lap down in the 18 car.
Wow, I'll tell you what, I'm not saying I'm lost, but this is a 3/8 mile track. They're going crazy. How many cars do we have on the lead lap right now?
I think about 7 or 8 is all that's left.
7 or 8, and they're just, Borneman is making a shambles out of it with Tim Woods right on his tail, and they're just slicing and dicing through this traffic.
Coming up toward halfway, remember at lap 125, there'll be a red flag and a mandatory 5-minute break to allow these teams plenty of opportunity to service these cars. No pit road here at Tucson Raceway Park. No way for these drivers to stop during the running of the race under green or caution. 5 laps from that point right now as we watch Borneman and Woods running 1 and 2 and working their way through the tail end of the field.
Wow, an incredible race. Right now, this is the most difficult part for the leader. Borneman has got a good race car. He's coming up on guys that are, 3 times slower than. Look at here, almost gets himself in trouble. Fight for the lead.
Woods to the inside will make the pass. So Tim Woods III in the 54 car will take advantage of the lap traffic and sneak inside Borneman to grab the point. Just a lap away from the mid-race caution and the red flag period that'll allow everybody some service time. And you've got a new leader, Tim Woods III. Look at Austin Cameron, so loose as he came by our speed shot there.
And I'll tell you, we got to give a hand to Tim Woods, one of the first African-American drivers to lead on the Winston West side. What a great drive by him.
It's been a great run from 19th starting spot to grab the lead here as they come toward halfway. Watching Scott Gaylord, yellow flag is in the air at lap 125. Time for the halfway break. These teams will get 5 minutes to service these race cars in the garage area behind turn 2 here at Tucson Raceway Park. Tim Woods III is your race leader. We'll be back with plenty more on Fox. Welcome back to Tucson Raceway Park, Tucson, Arizona. Halfway in the Tucson 250, the NASCAR Winston West Series, third race of the 14-race 2001 season. Kenny Wallace, these cars are behind the pace car now. They're going to head behind the wall in turn 2, and they'll have 5 minutes. The teams will have 5 minutes to go over these race cars and take care of any problems, service them completely, get them back on the racetrack. How much can you adjust in 5 minutes?
Well, you can do an awful lot of work. You can change air pressures in the tires. You can make wedge bolt adjustments. I mean, they're going to let them change anything. Heck, they can change springs and sway bars.
In 5 minutes, you can do all that?
Well, you can do that if you're professional enough to where you remember all the settings from the garage. Now, I'm not saying you can do it on a wing and a prayer, which you can if you want to.
As we watch Eric Norris bring the Janet King Ford to the attention of his crew, remember, he led early from the outside pole, had to come to the pits before this halfway break. How about this, Kenny? They say it was a bad kill switch in the race car that caused him to stop.
Well, the kill switch can either be two things. It's either the ignition switch that starts it up or the kill switch that turns all the power off.
Norris lost 6 laps in the exchange. But let's find out about our leader, Tim Woods. Here's Bobby Gerald.
Here we are at the break, and it's Tim Woods. So far, so good. A little radio communication going on right now, even at the break. So far, so good. What's your biggest concern now that we're halfway through?
Just keep the nose clean, stay out of the trouble, and don't overdrive it. Save it for the end. The Chino Hills Ford Taurus is just hooked up. Tim Woods is an awesome driver, rookie, third race in. Unbelievable patience. Acts like he's been doing this for 25 years. I can't believe it.
All right, now, the hood just came up. Is there anything we should be concerned about there?
No, we're double checking. This is a 5-minute break. This is a gift, so we might as well just take it. Take a look at everything, make sure nothing's wrong, put the hood back down, tell him he's got 4 new ones, and let's do it again.
Good luck to you the rest of the way.
Thank you.
I like Jason Roach's comments there. Just very quiet sounding man looking underneath his driver's car, and everybody right now is determining what they need to do to run this rest 125 laps.
Mark Reed's crew working on the Food for Less Pontiac. Mark, a lap down in 9th right now. He's had a great early season. Let's find out more. Like a California short track, Mark Reed's career is one of sharp turns. He ran 6 Winston West races in 1990 and 91. It would be 9 more years before he came back to the series last season. Now he finds himself with 2 poles plus his first victory, thanks in part to a new crew chief who's an old friend.
The vision and the game plan was to build the strongest Winston West, almost like a small version of a Winston Cup or Busch team. And again, thanks to Food for Less's support, we were able to talk Jerry into coming back out to California, his hometown, and hooking up with what I think is a real good starting team that's going to turn into a really great team as the years progress.
The Jerry is Jerry Pitts, a childhood racing buddy of Mark's who later became a Winston Cup crew chief working for Stacy Compton. His experience, along with the financing from Food for Less, has propelled Reed to the front in what is still officially his rookie year.
We met one major goal, which was to win a race this year, and that was something we had on the slate, but not until later in the year. But consistency, and we've always won races almost every year, but we just didn't have the consistency week in, week out.
Mark's winning ways started when he raced go-karts with his dad in Southern California. By age 15, he was running street stocks on local dirt tracks.
Go-karts I was good, and I seemed to be really good in the stock cars, and we won Rookie of the Year in a couple races, our first season in the dirt, like late model type racing.
In the early 90s, Mark qualified for 2 Winston Cup events at Phoenix while trying to break into Winston West racing full-time. Then, just as he was beginning to get noticed, his financing and his opportunities dried up.
Went back to North Carolina for a couple of years, did a lot of short track racing in Concord at the Concord Big Ten Series, Rich Bickle, Jack Sprague, I raced against all those guys. And then just because being a California native, I got a chance to do the tour full-time in '96, so I came back and I've just been doing it ever since out here.
Well, now that he's back for his second try in Winston West, Mark Reed is making sure he does it right this time. He has a good team in place and his goals are in sight. A Rookie of the Year award this year and just maybe a championship.
And that's where it starts right there. Look at those young kids. 4 young boys watching all these racers, and Mark Reed is fulfilling his dream. It all started when he was a kid.
Brandon Ash's crew started servicing the 23 car. They'll get Brandon out for the second half of the race. Meantime, let's find out what else is going on in the garage. Back to Bobby Gerald.
Well, Johnny Borneman's been nice enough to drop the net here for us during halftime and take a little break. And they're just telling you got the fastest go-kart out there. It may be a little bit of a struggle early, but things came to you, huh?
Yeah, well, our whole strategy was just to, just hang out for the first 50, 75 laps or whatever. And it's weird, my car never changed, and everybody just fell off, and I just kept driving the same line I did from lap 1, and everything was working good, so hopefully just keep it this way, this red line forward.
It seemed like everybody's concerned about the right rear tire. Have you felt a lot of slippage out there?
No, my right rear tire feels fine, I just been real easy on it, not spinning the tire. I'm not even getting full throttle on all the way down the gas on a straightaway, so maybe that's what it takes.
All right, Johnny Borneman is looking good right now at the halfway point, guys.
I like that, Rick. He just taught every driver that wants to know how to get around Tucson, how to drive this racetrack. Not even full throttle.
Just use a little bit of throttle and stay hooked up. Well, they're bringing the race cars back up onto the speedway for the second half of the Tucson 250. We'll be back here on Fox Sports Net. Welcome back to the NASCAR Winston West Series here on Fox Sports Net. Halfway through the Tucson 250 at Tucson Raceway Park. I'm Rick Benjamin with Kenny Wallace. Tim Woods III will be your restart leader in the 54. Johnny Borneman, who led up until the last couple of laps in the first half, restarts second. Green flag is in the air with 119 laps remaining.
Austin trying to get his lap back. He's in a hurry. Tim Woods lets him have it. And right now, they're all going to try to settle out. This is going to be big right now. Only 5-6 cars on the lead lap. Everybody trying to get their lap back.
Now remember, Cameron ran second in the first half of this race for quite a while. Burned the tires up off the 12 car and had to get out of the gas. Lost a lot of spots, even lost a lap. May have gotten one of his laps back. Did get one of his laps back right there off the restart. Settling into the lead, though, is Tim Woods as Cameron starts to drive away. Here comes Eric Norris on the low side in the 32. He wants to move up and try to get a lap back as well.
Eric is down about 6 laps. We reported earlier that he had that kill switch problem. He's trying to make up some laps.
He's not the only one trying to do the same thing. We see the 18 there of John Baker, our pole sitter today, the rookie. He's trying to move in the middle and get around Norris and get up close and perhaps get a lap back from Woods as well.
Okay, now Tim Woods is leading this race, but out front there, you see Austin Cameron driving hard. He's got to be careful. This pink-orange car has got to take it easy on those tires, Rick, or he's going to wear them off.
Well, a guy who's used his tires very well. How about Mike Duncan on the low side in the 9, 3 wide. He's going to try to get the lead away from Tim Woods here early in the second half, and I think he's going to do it.
Wow, Rick, just when we think you cannot get it done on the bottom, look at him. He takes the lead from Tim Woods.
Woods in the 54 now second. Mark Reed in the 4 trying to get a lap back. Now Duncan, Kenny, they blew a motor this morning in practice. They repaired the motor just in time to get Duncan out to qualify. Look how strong he is now.
That's impressive. I'll tell you, to change your morning, race morning, have all your faith that all the lines are hooked up properly, shows he's got a great crew and he's out here doing his job.
Duncan has had a good run going. He was great, of course, at Vegas a couple of weeks ago. Started 17th here today, has taken the lead from Tim Woods, who started 19th when they lined him up here just a short time ago.
Man, this is some great racing. John Baker, your pole sitter, 18, right in front of your leader.
Baker trying to stay on that lap and not go another lap down to the leader, Duncan. Now here's Mark Reed to the inside of the 4 car. We met Reed a moment ago. Reed trying to get a lap back here and get back on the lead lap and become a factor in this thing again.
Yeah, you're right. Reed's got a passion right now, and that's to get past these guys, get his lap back, and hope for a caution to get back in this race. Right now, he's got to make a full lap up.
Duncan, though, holding him at bay. Meantime, we check back in with Tim Woods in the 54. He's stuck now behind Troy Klein, and he's got his hands full with Steve Portengate.
Okay, what I'm seeing here, Rick, is Tim Woods looks tight. I'm watching his left front tire. He's turning it an awful lot. I think his car is going to get faster later on.
Brandon Ash in the 23 going by Woods as well. So Ash moves up. He is now 3rd. Duncan is your leader. The 49 of Tony Schmidt is in 2nd spot. Woods drops back to 4th ahead of Johnny Borneman. And Baker, John Baker, the pole sitter, and Herschel McGriff being shown up in 7th spot. As we watch Woods and Scott Gaylord. Now remember, Gaylord stopped early for tires, so he's a couple of laps down. As we are on board, taking a look down the backstretch here at Tucson. Now, into turn 3.
You know what's great about this shot here? Remember when we were watching the other one of Mark Reed, his hands were going to the right? This guy here, now he's all the way to the left. Left, left, left.
Pulling on that wheel very hard as we ride and watch Duncan. Mark Reed has gotten by Duncan to get back on the lead lap. Duncan in the 9, though, is your leader. Herschel McGriff in the 04 right there. We believe McGriff is now a lap down, trying to get his lap back. And there's Schmidt in the 49 from the Pacific Northwest, running second from 13th to 2nd in that unsponsored Pontiac.
Well, it kind of reminds me of my Winston Cup ride. That's a Pontiac, blue numbers. That man needs a sponsor running second, just like me.
You're
need
an
a sponsor.
expert on that situation, aren't you?
And I wish I wasn't. My gosh, I've had a sponsor my whole Winston Cup career, and I have found myself just like this man right here.
There's Kevin Richards in the 85 making a move. Brandon Ash, meantime, in the 23 has raced his way up to 3rd in that red and blue Chevrolet. And there's Richards trying to stay in front of Ash. Now, Richards lost several laps as well with that alternator problem right before the midway break.
I'll tell you, when these guys got new tires on here at Tucson, it is exciting. It's starting to calm down a little bit. New tires starting to go, oh, we got a car coming behind the pits.
Sure do. The 27, they had problems early on. He goes behind the wall again. Sean Culp from Tucson had that steering shaft problem at the start of the race. They said they couldn't fix the car. They did get him back out. Now here's Sean Woodside in the 45 racing Tim Woods for position up in the top 10. Woods on the high side, Woodside down low in that Chevrolet, and he will get by, and he'll lead Sammy Potashnik by as well. Meantime, we check back in with Mike Duncan, your race leader in the 9 car.
Isn't it funny how this race has played out? Mike Duncan nowhere in sight in the early going, the first 125s. He come in towards the end, picks up right where he left. It's like they've laid rubber down on the track, and he's just getting faster.
The 49, though, Tony Schmidt may be the fastest car out there in that unsponsored Grand Prix. Schmidt in the 49 lined up 13th. He's from Newburgh, Oregon, the Schmidt Racing Pontiac, and he is tracking down the leader, Kenny Wallace.
And I mean, big-time race fans. Look at that. He closed in on him big time getting into turn 1. The 9's running a little too high on entry.
So Duncan may be having a problem getting that car turned in and keeping it low enough. You can see plenty of rubber down on the racetrack now, and the sun's starting to come out, which could change things even more.
Yeah, look at there. That's what I'm talking about. That 49 really entering low, making up a lot of time, and looks like he's going to make the pass.
Schmidt in the 49 for second spot, going for the lead here under Mike Duncan, and he's got him. Gets by Duncan on the low side as they hit the front straightaway.
And we've got a race.
So Schmidt is your new leader in the 49 car. Duncan gets dropped back to second. Richards, who led a bunch of laps during the first half, trying to get up under these 2 cars and get one of his laps back.
And see, here's the problem. Richards is going like, guys, I've got the fastest car here. I had problems earlier. I'm going to show you, the fans, everybody on TV, that I still have the fastest race car. That's what Richards is doing right now. He's showing all of us that he's got the fastest race car. He's going to circle this leader. He's going to take off, and he's going to make his statement.
He needs a couple of breaks, though. Past the 150 lap mark, less than 100 laps to go. 97 remain here at Tucson Raceway Park. New leader, young Tony Schmidt from Oregon, and the 49 is out in front at Tucson. Welcome back to Tucson Raceway Park. The Tucson 250 for the NASCAR Winston West Series here at Fox Sports Net. Your leader in the white 49 car, Tony Schmidt from Oregon, the young rookie. He's come from deep in the field when they lined him up here this afternoon. He has raced his way to the front, working his way by pole sitter John Baker there in the 18, another rookie. And Schmidt starting to look very, very strong in that 49 car. And Kenny Wallace, you've got to like the drive that Schmidt has turned in here today. Got up on Mike Duncan in the 9. You see Duncan there in second. He was the leader. Schmidt wasted no time, went right inside of him and took over.
He did. Rick, what I was just getting ready to say is you don't have to qualify up front to win. Listen to this. Your leader, Tony Schmidt, qualified 13th. Mike Duncan started back in the 17th spot. So you got guys behind the pack that we thought was going to dominate, and now they're leading.
Another rookie's in trouble behind the wall. Let's go to Bobby Gerald in the garage area.
Rick, a tough break for the kid Matthew Dillard. He comes in with a flat right front tire. It took a couple of seconds for the crew to get over here to make this change, and of course, anytime you come in the pits, it just kills you. He was having a good run, but it looks like this one's going to be a little bit tougher for him now than we expected.
Matt Dillard was running up in the top 12. He's from Norman, Oklahoma, when that tire trouble befell him. Thank you, Bobby Gerald. Back on the racetrack, the 49, Tony Schmidt. See a tire donut on the right front fender of that race car, but he's running in clean air right now, Kenny Wallace.
And that's what it's all about, clean air. That means you can go faster.
Working his way up, getting close to Mark Reed's Pontiac. Now, we met Reed a while ago. He is the series point leader after 2 events. Reed just got back onto the lead lap. He's in the top 10. He's not really in contention. He needs a break. He needs a caution, being shown here 9th, just inside of a lap down.
You know, as bad as you want a caution, the 49 doesn't want a caution, so it's a two-way street here.
Schmidt doing a great job keeping that 49 car down at the bottom. And I think the key here, and Kenny, maybe you'll see this a little differently, but to me the key now is, can Schmidt keep the tires under that race car the rest of the way?
And I think that's what he's got to remember. You know, he's a great race car driver. His crew chief has got to be saying, hey, look, remember, we got a fast car. Let's take it easy on these tires. But at the same time, the crew chief's saying, pass that guy in front of you.
Johnny Borneman in the 8 car led a lot of this one, coming to halfway. He sits back in 4th. And the Red Line Oil Ford running all alone. Started 6th, raced his way to the front. They had tire concerns during the first half of the event, but obviously put those aside. Here's Tim Woods in the 54, unable to hold Kevin Richards back. Woods, though, riding 5th in that machine after starting back in 19th spot. And we climb on board with Eric Norris in the Janiking Ford. Norris started on the front row, led early here today, had that kill switch problem, which cost him 6 laps. Norris hoping for a couple of breaks to get some of those laps back, but the laps certainly are getting away from him here. Less than 90 to go.
I kind of like what Eric Norris is doing here. He knows that his day was over. You know, back in the first half of the race, he's staying on the bottom in the middle of the track, trying to stay out of everybody's way and complete some laps here. It's a sign of a guy that's going to win a lot of races in the future.
Look at this battle for the lead. Here comes Duncan again in the 9 car, closing it back up on Schmidt as they work into the corner.
Now, the reason this lead is happening is the 49 of Schmidt cannot get past the 2 cars in front of him on the bottom, so he's got to go back to the high side. Now we got to fight for the lead again.
You see Reed in the 4, Portengay in the 3. They are battling to stay in front of these 2 leaders. They want desperately to avoid going another lap down at this stage of the race with fewer than 90 laps to go as they work out of turn number 2. Another great story here. How about this? Herschel McGriff, 73 years old, running 6th, started 20th, Kenny Wallace, even though he is a lap down.
It's incredible. My statement is this. If that Herschel McGriff in that 04 was 19 years old right now and you didn't know it, you would think he's 19 years old. The man's 73 years old, driving like a young kid in a street car.
Doing a terrific job, and this is his kind of racetrack. What's the premium on driving skill? A short track, of course, you've got to be able to have great car control to know when to push the throttle and when not.
Boy, Rick, I just seen something I didn't like. The 49 of Schmidt starting to break the right rear loose. He was sideways in that speed shot right as we went away that last shot. Let's keep an eye on this 49.
Schmidt with his hands full wants to keep the lead ahead of Duncan. Meantime, Herschel McGriff racing his way toward the front. Let's find out more. Bobby Gerald standing by downstairs with his crew chief.
Chuck Carruthers, who turns the wrenches for Herschel McGriff. And how proud are you of Herschel just to be able to not only go 250 laps, but get in the car at 73 and steer it?
Isn't that really something? I mean, it really is. And I'll tell you what, Herschel's the best 73-year-old race car driver in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Maybe that ever lived.
And that's really true. And I'll tell you what, about 75 laps into that last run, he said, Chuck, we're going to the front with this thing, and he wasn't kidding.
How you doing right now?
We're just kind of holding our own. I just don't want to take too much off that right rear right now.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And to my dad, Russ Wallace, who is about 66 years old and wondering what he's going to do for retirement. Dad, look at this. I mean, 73 years old, Herschel McGriff.
I've seen your dad recently. He could go Winston West racing, I think. He looks like he's in shape to do that.
Man, I tell you what, my dad, Russ Wallace, won more races in the Midwest than a lot of people I can remember.
On board with Mark Reed in that Food for Less Pontiac, who won at Las Vegas a few weeks ago. Right now, trying to get himself back into contention. As we take a look at the running order, Reed is 8th, 1 lap down behind Sammy Potashnik, and just ahead of the pole sitter John Baker, who's doing a nice job, 1 lap down in the top 10 as we get a look at the rest of the running order. Riding with Reed out on the front straightaway. Kenny, it doesn't look as though Reed has got the race car to get up and challenge for the win today because Schmidt's just driving away.
Yeah, when you look at that in-car camera, what I've been seeing with Mark Reed is he's not able to turn that wheel left, you know, as quick as I want him to get back to the gas. He's too busy neutral with the wheel right.
Now remember that in this situation we've had the halftime break. These guys don't want to stop again. They're pretty much going to race what they've got to the checkered flag here at Tucson. Back with more. Welcome back to Tucson Raceway Park in Tucson, Arizona. The NASCAR Winston West Series here on Fox Sports Net. Kenny Wallace, Tony Schmidt is doing a heck of a job in that 49 car, just driving away with this thing.
As he dives to the inside of Matt Dillard. Yeah, he is, Rick. I tell you what, he look at there, the front end pushed up a little bit. That's a good sign of a car that is still underneath of you. That means that the right front, oh no, look at here.
Tim Woods, the third, problems in that Ford Taurus. He is going to pull that car off the racetrack outside turn 2. Looks like he may have a tire. No, he doesn't have a tire now. He's got smoke showing.
Yeah, man, that was a great story unfolding.
Tim Woods in that 54 car had started 19th today, had raced his way into the lead right before the halfway break, but problems as he runs in the top 5. Apparently will take him out of contention here today. Meantime, it's Schmidt, Duncan in the 9, about 6 car lengths back, trying to hang on in second spot.
Rick, I like what I see out of Schmidt's car. We had a good shot there. It showed him turning the wheel left. That means he's turning the wheel left and going fast. If you're turning the wheel right and that rear end's coming around, that means you cannot get in the gas and go forward.
Now we're coming up here. There'll be 50 laps to go very, very shortly. Kenny Wallace, can you come from far back in 50 laps on this size racetrack as we watch Dillard from Oklahoma here in the 09?
Oh, sure you can. You can come from way back, because what we've seen in the first half is this, at this racetrack here at Tucson, you're always going in a circle. That means the car's always rolled over on those right sides, and in any time, I mean it can happen in one lap, your tires will go away, and you'll say, what happened?
Well, Schmidt continues to lead over Duncan. Herschel McGriff making progress, but let's find out what happened to Tim Woods. Back to Bobby Gerald.
Guys, first half leader Tim Woods came in with the car smoking. They've lifted up the hood, and you see it from Tim. He says, I don't know, and he's just shaking his head. It's got to be an obviously tough deal for him right now. And Kenny Wallace, you've been in this situation before. It must be helpless.
Boy, it sure is helpless. What he's thinking right now is, man, I did a great job today, and I feel bad, you know. I mean, when you've led a race and you've been running up in the top 10 and something happens to the race car, you just get this hole in your heart, you know, like, man, I couldn't finish this deal off and talk about my good run all week long.
Tony Schmidt from Oregon in the 49 car with those rookie stripes on the back end of that Pontiac, still your leader. Here's Johnny Borneman in the 8, working up on Austin Cameron's 12 car. Eric Norris in that group of machines as well in the 32. Borneman trying to race his way back into contention. He too led for several laps during the first half of the race. Cameron's car still doesn't look as though it's handling very well. He was plenty loose the last time coming out of the corner there.
You know, Rick, what I like about that 8 car right there, and I guess it's just a racer to me, the right rear stays up on it. What I mean is when he goes into the corner, comes off the corner, the right rear doesn't sink down on it and get that rolling over. That means he can turn that wheel at any time. Schmidt, look at Schmidt here. He's like where y'all at? I'm just gone.
Watching the lap, the scoreboard turn over every time by, watching the lap count change in his favor, because he knows that if he can just hang on another 55 laps or so, he's got this one put away. Sean Woodside in the 45 and Johnny Borneman battling for position a little further back. Borneman coming on strong now. Starting to look as though the 8 car may be the quickest car out here, Kenny.
Rick, that's that question you asked me earlier. With 50 laps to go, can anybody come from the back? And we're seeing it right now here with Johnny Borneman. He's making his drive forward.
And he's driving very smoothly. Talked to us during the halfway break about how he wasn't even using all the throttle in that race car as he works by young Ross Thompson out of Phoenix here in the 92. Let's find out more about the Tim Woods problem. Let's go back to Bobby Gerald.
Well, as they get set to push him back out, word from the crew is a transmission oil leak. That was the reason the 54 car was smoking. He'll head back out, but again, he's lost a lot of time, guys.
Boy, that is a tough break indeed. You don't expect the transmission line to come loose at this stage of the race.
No, you sure don't. And it, you know, that's kind of amazing for such a small racetrack. But you create a lot of heat on these small racetracks because you're in and out of the gas so much. So, you know, you would think a small racetrack, things wouldn't heat up as much. But with the brakes, you know, and on and off the gas so much, it creates a lot.
Tim Woods from Chino Hills, California, may join the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series next year, driving for Roush Racing. What a coup that would be for that young driver. Speaking about young drivers and driving coups, the driver leading here, Tony Schmidt, doing a great job. Let's find out the thoughts of his crew chief. Back to Bobby Gerald.
We just spoke with Bob Hustler and some of the crew guys for Tony Schmidt in car number 49. He is setting a frantic pace, and they say that he reports no problems at all over the radio. He's happy with the car and still feels like they're the fastest car out on the racetrack.
Boy, inside 50 laps to go, Kenny Wallace, they've got everything going their way right now.
Just got to keep 4 tires underneath them.
And that will be the challenge here. But right now, Schmidt is all by himself at Tucson Raceway Park. We'll be back with more. We are back at Tucson Raceway Park, Tucson, Arizona. Waning laps of the Tucson 250, third race of the season for the NASCAR Winston West Series. I'm Rick Benjamin. Kenny Wallace is alongside Bobby Gerald on pit road. And Kenny Wallace, we're all stunned by the run young Tony Schmidt is putting on the board here today in this 49 car.
He sure is. I mean, man, does he look good. You know, and I don't know for sure. That almost looks like one of my Winston Cup cars. I swear it does.
Did you sell him a car when you weren't looking?
I'm sure we did not. But I would have to say that looks like that Pontiac that I drive. Looks like it's running up front, I might say.
Young Tony Schmidt and the Schmidt Racing Pontiac out of Oregon doing a terrific job here. Raced his way to the front, started deep in the field during the first half of this event. Since the halftime break, he's been super strong. Took over right after the green flag came back out, and he has dominated since then in the 49 car. Mike Duncan in the 9, hanging right with him there in second spot. Brandon Ash and Johnny Borneman are in the hunt as well, but they're not even close to these two leaders right now.
And I see something to the left right there, the MB&A car, Herschel McGriff, down one lap, but starting to make a move to get his lap back.
He looks like he's getting into the corners very, very well. Look at him draw up there on Duncan.
Yeah, and Schmidt right now looking in his rearview mirror going, well, I'm pulling away a little bit. But here comes the old man, 73 years old, trying to get his lap back, working on the 9 car.
McGriff has certainly learned plenty of patience in his many, many years as a race car driver. Dates back to the late 40s. Herschel first came to prominence running the old Carrera Panamericana through Mexico. Take a look at the running order with 50 to go. Johnny Borneman in 4th. There's McGriff and Sammy Potashnik battling for 5th. This was a few laps ago. Mark Reed being shown 7th, 1 lap down in that 4 car. He has fought hard to try to get close to the leaders, but just doesn't seem to have the race car today.
You know, Mark Reed's a great race car driver. He's probably a little frustrated, but I'm going to tell you what, he is doing a great job of just running all day long with the car that he doesn't want under him.
As we watch Duncan trying to hold back Herschel McGriff, who is not yet on the lead lap. Taking a look at Austin Cameron and Brendan Gaughan with the leader Schmidt trying to work by. We're starting to hear that some drivers are concerned that lap traffic may not be giving the leaders enough running room. Let's hear from Bobby Gerald on that.
Well, Rick, it was very interesting earlier today at the pit meeting. Some of the lead drivers were talking with NASCAR officials about slower cars out on the racetrack. They wanted to make sure that these guys were adhering to the move over flag and getting out of the way of the lead pack coming through. They had some problems at Las Vegas at the last race, and some of the lead competitors lost their composure, ended up sending some of those slower cars up into the wall. They think, hey, the car count's going to be a lot bigger if we all work together and keep everybody as one big happy family.
And while Bobby Gerald was giving us that report, Herschel McGriff is back on the lead lap. But let me just say something about what Bobby's talking about there. I think it's evolution. The reason I use the word evolution is this, because you always don't have the same guys running up front in Winston West. So, for example, if I'm in Winston Cup and I'm used to seeing Dale Earnhardt always, well, I know Dale's a front runner. I'm going to move over and let him go. Well, what happens is all of a sudden, these guys are out here. They're not used to seeing guys on the rear view that are always taking the lead from him. So sometimes I think the crew chief, the spotter, have got to get in the ear of that driver and say, hey, look, this guy's running good. You got to give him some space. So, not always do these guys run up front that are always dominant at times.
Guy who's running great right now is Mike Duncan in the 9 car. He has caught back up to the leader Schmidt in the 49. Duncan right there in the 9 in second spot, battling hard now. Austin Cameron's lap car kind of in the way on the high side. Schmidt trying to get by him down low. Duncan's right there as well.
Yeah, and what a great subject. We're talking about lap cars. See, now Austin every week is not a lap down car, but this week he is. And the 9 car of Mike Duncan, he always doesn't run up front. So he's saying, hey, give me a break. Austin's saying, hey, I run up front every week. And so, this is a situation right there. Austin lets out of the gas. Great driver. Austin's going to let him have the spot here. Now there you go.
So Schmidt retains the lead in the 49, but now Duncan has clean racetrack in front of the 9 car. We'll see if he can get up on Schmidt's back deck lid again and try to do something with the race leader. Schmidt, meantime, looks like he's going to put Brendan Gaughan a lap down in the 16 car. That 16 car has really not run well at all again today, and this is the 3rd race this season where they haven't really been a factor, Ken.
And you know that us just talking about that is driving them crazy. They're going to go back to their shop and get this deal straightened out.
We've sent Bobby Gerald over to the Gaughan pits to try to find out what the problem is with the 16.
Down here with Shane Wilson for the 16 car. How are things going as we get down to the waning stages?
We're struggling today. The chassis too hard on the tires. We burned up a right rear. 50 laps to go in the last run, and we're just trying to hang on right now. We're just struggling.
Bring it home and get some points.
Yeah, that's the best we can hope for today.
Thanks, Shane.
Well, it is a long season, and they're trying for a championship. They won the season title last year, but that's got to be frustrating. But a guy who's not frustrated at all, how about this? We talked about Herschel McGriff getting back on the lead lap.
I tell you what, it's incredible. Patience is the sign right now, because although you want to be aggressive, you want to smash that gas, you got to, lay into that throttle easy, and that's what Herschel's doing. He's saving those tires and going to the front.
Meantime, your lead battle, the 49 of Schmidt is out in front, the 9 of Duncan running second. There is Schmidt working inside Sean Woodside. Back with plenty more at Tucson. Welcome back to Tucson Raceway Park in Tucson, Arizona. The NASCAR Winston West Series here on Fox Sports Net. I'm Rick Benjamin with Kenny Wallace alongside. Bobby Gerald in the garage area for us today. Your leader continues to be the 49 of Tony Schmidt out of Oregon, rookie driver in that unsponsored Pontiac Grand Prix. And he's got quite a lead now. The 9 of Mike Duncan has been second, but Duncan's backpedaling. He got up close to Schmidt there, Kenny, a few laps ago. Now he's given up a lot of ground.
You know, I think it's just a case of where Mike Duncan has just drove his heart out, and you know, his tires have given up on him. You know, you have some cars that favor, you know, full 125 laps of racing right here, and right now his car is just starting to give up towards the end of the race.
Sammy Potashnik has gotten by for position, so Duncan is out of the mix of the top 3 or 4 cars now. He's right in front of Brendan Gaughan. We talked about him a moment ago. Tires have gone away on that car too as we get close to the checkered flag here at Tucson Raceway Park. The 49 car of Schmidt, just his 4th career start. This is amazing, I think, that he may well go to victory lane here today in his 4th start.
I think it's great. I think this victory, if he can win this race, look at Mr. Ash there running a nice pretty line, currently 2nd. He's been quiet all day long, and look at him.
Starting to rumble now. They adjusted on that car during the midway break, and he's brought that Ford Taurus up to 2nd spot, the number 23. Young Brandon Ash has a couple of career 2nd place finishes. In fact, one of them was on this racetrack 2 years ago. So Brandon Ash riding 2nd right now in the 23.
Obviously, his best career finish before this one was at this exact racetrack, so he knows how to get around this Tucson racetrack. Right there, his best Winston West finish, 2nd.
So Ash in that blue and red Western family Ford doing a great job. Running the high side once again. Look at all the marbles that are up above the racing groove. These Hoosier bias ply tires, pretty soft that these teams are running on here today on this short track. They'll use radials on the bigger tracks like Phoenix, where we opened the season several weeks ago. Meantime, it's still Schmidt in the 49 car all alone out in front. Sammy Potashnik in the 65, starting to get close to him here.
Rick, we'll talk about those marbles. For the race fans that don't understand what that is, the marbles are the area outside of the groove where the tires are wearing out. That's rubber off of all these guys' tires.
Now let's point out this is not a battle for the lead. Potashnik and the Lucas Oil Chevrolet trying to get by and get a lap back, and he has just done that. Tony Schmidt lets him go, but he's now on the lead lap. So Sammy Potashnik from Missouri doing a nice job running in 5th spot. Herschel McGriff is in front of him. There's Eric Norris in the Janiking Ford, the 32, right behind your race leader, but Norris not a factor. We climb on board that Taurus to get a look at how the leader Schmidt is managing things.
This is Eric Norris fighting to the inside of the leader. Although Tony Schmidt is leading, his tires are starting to give up, so he might be paying the penalty for leading this race the whole time. But hey, you know, we got to get back to this. This is this man's 4th start, Tony Schmidt's 4th start, and he's looking like he might win here if he can hold it off.
We'll see how things play out over the final few laps here at Tucson Raceway Park, but Tony Schmidt in that Pontiac Grand Prix so far unchallenged. He had a little heat put on him by Mike Duncan a few laps ago, and Duncan apparently ran the tires off the 9 car, and he has just backed up completely. No longer effective. But look at this. Here comes Johnny Borneman in that Ford, the blue and white number 8. He's drawn right up on the back deck lid of Ash for 2nd spot.
And you know, they were going back to the same situation we had at the first 125 laps of the race. Borneman says, hey, I'm not giving it full throttle, but there's not very many laps left, but he's going into 2nd now. He's got a long ways to go to the leader, but a nice pass for 2nd spot.
So Johnny Borneman, who led briefly right before the midway break, moves by Ash, puts that 8 car up into 2nd. The red line oil Ford Taurus of young Johnny Borneman now runs 2nd on the leaderboard as the laps wind down here at Tucson.
You know, the great thing about Borneman's car is it's fast right now. The bad thing about Borneman's car, it wasn't fast early. It gave that leader all that time to stretch that lead out. So, you know, you're kind of in catch-22. You go, boy, this track wears tires out.
But so far, Schmidt in the 49 and now Borneman in the 8. They've managed to keep the tires under those 2 race cars. We'll see if Borneman can do anything here with Schmidt in the last handful of laps. Schmidt in that 49 car has been so strong since right before halfway, and Borneman was strong around that time too, Kenny. And he talked about at the break, if you remember, how gingerly he was driving that race car, not using much throttle at all. We'll see if he is able to maneuver his race car and get up into contention for the lead in the final few laps here at Tucson. We're back at Tucson Raceway Park in Tucson, Arizona. The Tucson 250 for the NASCAR Winston West Series here on Fox Sports Net. Herschel McGriff in the 04 back on the lead lap, sitting 4th. He's not really in contention with the leaders right now. About 20 laps to go here as we watch Ross Thompson in the 92 work inside the 04. Now Thompson not passing Herschel for position there, not on the lead lap. Austin Cameron also not on the lead lap. McGriff, though, is at this stage of the event.
You know, Herschel is not fighting for the lead, but let me tell you something he's doing that all these cars are passing. They're not ahead of him. Herschel is running for it. So Herschel elected to run hard and pay the penalty at the end. Now he's got that much of a lap on all the other guys.
Lap's certainly winding down now, and there's Tony Schmidt in the 49 from Oregon, your leader. Young driver at just his 4th career Winston West start. Put Steve Portengay another lap down there in the 3. Tim Woods in the 54, who led earlier. He's quick now after they fixed that transmission oil leak in that Ford Taurus out of Chino Hills, California. And here's Johnny Borneman running second in car number 8. Seeing if Borneman can close in on the leader at all.
Johnny Borneman, car number 8 right there coming up on Mr. Reed. And now this is going to kill him. Oh, look at this.
Boy.
Oh!
Steve Portengay in the 3, loops it, goes around, and look at this. Duncan is going to tag him hard. Mike Duncan, who ran second earlier, drills Portengay in the right rear wheel, and the caution waves for only the 3rd time this afternoon with 11 laps to go. And Duncan apparently just didn't have enough brakes left in that car to get it woed down in time.
Man, I tell you, I feel bad for Mike Duncan. I mean, he has run just awesome this whole day, running second, and you can see the disgust. Look at there.
Drops the window net, and you can tell the way he pounded the steering wheel.
I feel bad for you, buddy. I feel bad for you. Running second, and they wreck in front of him, and they took him out.
Safety crew over to chat with Duncan, make sure he's okay, and he's more angry than anything else, I think, at this point.
Yeah, well, you know what he's thinking right now is, why me? I needed this break. I needed this second place finish, and you know, he's going to go home and say, hey, we got wrecked. You know, I was fine. It was the guys in front of me, and you know, he tried missing it, but they spun out right in front of him.
Portengay lost it, went around. Duncan saw him, wasn't able to turn inside or outside, tried to slow down, just couldn't. On a short track like this, Kenny, I'd imagine you do use a lot of brakes. Is it possible that you're just out of brakes at this time as we take another look?
Oh, yeah, and definitely the situation here is John Baker probably didn't have no brakes, come in or got in hard, and he took Portengay out, which he didn't mean to, so it's all a chain reaction from here on out.
Duncan tried to turn low, couldn't get the car turned low enough, couldn't get it stopped, and hammers Portengay in the right rear wheel, breaks the radiator evidently. There's all kinds of fluid on the racetrack, and we've got our first significant caution in quite a while. Now, when we were with you a couple of weeks ago from the Bull Ring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as Duncan assesses the situation and tries to make himself realize he's just lost a top finishing spot here at Vegas. Tons of cautions, lots of hard wrecks. This has been a very clean race until this incident. Less than 10 laps to go. Caution on the speedway at Tucson. We'll be back. Back at Tucson Raceway Park in Tucson, Arizona. Final laps of the Tucson 250 for the NASCAR Winston West Series here on Fox Sports Net. Just our 3rd caution of the afternoon. Tony Schmidt remains the leader, but Kenny Wallace, a late race caution like that for that incident with Portengay and Duncan. Now this will set things up for the final few laps because it'll allow the 8 of Johnny Borneman and the 23 of Brandon Ash to restart right behind the race leader and maybe put some pressure on Schmidt.
This is going to be a humdinger, race fans. Don't change your channel. Tony Schmidt in his 4th start leading the race. What's he going to do? His heart's got to be beating right now. But let me tell you what he's doing. He's saying, I got to stay calm. I got to run my pace, and I might have to get a little savvy here. I might just have to block Johnny Borneman, who you know is running second, and he's going to fight for the win.
Borneman as well, a young driver. Let's take another look at the caution. What caused the caution? This is from Mark Reed's machine.
Well, it just definitely looks like John Baker got in a little too hard, lost the rear end of the car, slid up and hit Portengay, and we had an accident.
Sure did. Duncan, you couldn't see that Duncan tried in the 9 car to slow down and turn inside of Portengay's machine, but instead just hit him flush on the right rear corner of that car. Moved the center section, moved the rear end, I'm sure, a couple of inches because he tagged him flush in the right rear wheel. So that has set this up. We will go green with just a couple of laps to go here. Young Mr. Schmidt's mirrors will be full with the 8 car of Borneman, Brandon Ash back there, Potashnik and McGriff. 5 cars left on the lead lap, and they'll start nose to tail. Meantime, Mike Duncan, great year last year, Rookie of the Year in Winston West. Thought he might have a win here today. He's frustrated. Bobby Gerald talking to his crew chief.
Well, Charlie Wilson awaiting the number 9 car down here in the pit area. What happened there?
The 3 car and I don't know who else got together a little bit and spun out, came down the track a little bit, and Mike just got into him and he couldn't do anything about it.
How disappointing is this for you guys now after the engine change before you even went out for qualifying today?
Yeah, it is real disappointing. We were running well. I don't know if we had a car to win it, but we definitely had a car to run up front. It's just this place hasn't been very good to us.
Well, you guys are knocking on the door, and Mike's going to get that first win soon.
Yeah, we led some laps today. I want to thank Surface Pumps and Gary Collins over West Coast Race Car Fabrication and Bill Meropoulos for the motors. They all do us a good job.
Well, they'll be back, guys.
You know, I mean, I know exactly what that man's going through. I mean, just complete euphoria to where, hey, we're one of the top 5 guys, to complete devastation. I mean, we go through life, and, you know, early in the week, they're looking for 1 2/10 to get qualified up in the top 5. They blow a motor, their dauber's down, they come back, they're leading this thing, they're all sky high. Looks like they're going to finish second, and then their world, in this world of auto racing, is pulled right out from underneath them.
And that's what happens a lot of times on a short track. Close quarters, lots of traffic, something happens in front of you, no room to do anything about it. And that's exactly the situation Duncan was in. It's going to take us a few minutes here. When Duncan hit Portengay, we told you he broke the radiator. I think he broke more than the radiator. They dumped an awful lot of fluid down on the racetrack. The speedy dry is out, but the cleanup has taken a while here.
Yeah, there's approximately $2,000 or more worth of things up in the front of these race cars. You're looking at a very expensive radiator, you're looking at a very expensive oil cooler, and sometimes you've got other devices up there that help cool, you know, the oiling devices in the car.
Water pump and so forth. On board with Sean Woodside in the 45 car. Not having a great day here once again. Won this race, won the season championship 2 years ago, 1999. He's sitting 11th now, a couple of laps down. And talk about a guy who's frustrated. We talked about Brendan Gaughan earlier. You know that Woodside's got to be frustrated at the way things are going in the early season for his team, too.
Yeah, Sean Woodside from a famous little town, Saugus, California, one of the legendary little quarter miles.
As the field continues to circulate under caution here at Tucson Raceway Park, the 49 of Tony Schmidt, your race leader. He's been out in front almost the entire second half of this one here at Tucson Raceway Park. Looks like a restart will come, and we'll have a green, white, and checkered finish, Kenny Wallace.
Man, I'm nervous. All I can tell you. I hope he's got his tires cleaned off good. And I know what this guy's feeling like right now. I've led a lot of these in the Busch Grand National Series with Mark Martin on my bumper. Here we go.
Green flag is in the air. 2 to go at Tucson Raceway Park. Schmidt pulls away. Here comes Ash to the inside of Borneman for second spot.
It's a barn burner. 1, 2, 3. Wow, he gets sideways. Schmidt does. Borneman all over him.
Coming to the white flag this time. Schmidt is loose. Borneman will try to turn inside in the 8 car.
What
Coming
a race.
to the stripe. They're nose to nose. Borneman gets by.
Uses him up just like any good race car driver. Borneman sets sail.
Borneman is out in front of the 8. Schmidt hanging on to second. Ash trying to get second away from him. Look at Schmidt push up the racetrack.
Incredible finish. Look at this for second.
Checkered
fourth.
flag to Johnny Borneman. Schmidt gets second. Ash is third. Potashnik a close fourth. Give Herschel McGriff fifth. And Kenny Wallace, you got to feel for young Tony Schmidt. Without that caution, he should have been to the house by now.
I tell you what, though, the right car won. Now listen, Tony Schmidt, you had a great race car, but obviously towards the end of this 125, you know, a total of 250, the 8 car was better. You did a great job finishing second, and look at this crew of Borneman.
They are happy. Johnny Borneman scores his first career NASCAR Winston West victory. Sammy Potashnik pulls alongside to give him a salute. Borneman will wave to the crowd and come around to victory lane. Little damage on the right front corner of the 8 car, but not enough to cause any problems at all for the Red Line Oil Ford team.
Wow, this is great. Now, Johnny Borneman will be a leading car next week. So, as we said earlier, they were talking about lap traffic, so I guess he's going to be one of those guys you got to move over for now.
Absolutely. He was strong at Las Vegas, but comes home with the win here in that beautiful blue and white Ford Taurus. And Borneman will do a slide for life down the front straightaway. A couple of donuts to celebrate the win.
That's great. He's getting ready for Winston Cup and Busch. He's got to learn that spin-out art.
Close quarters here, too. You could have hit something with that machine if he wasn't careful. Borneman, your winner. We'll talk to him in just a minute. We are back at Tucson Raceway Park in Tucson, Arizona. And there it is, the cry of joy. A first-time winner at the NASCAR Winston West Series. Young Johnny Borneman did a great job on that green-white checkered finish, Kenny Wallace.
Man, what a fresh sight to see. This is what you want to see when somebody wins their very first race. They're going crazy. Total euphoria right now.
Just his 8th career Winston West start, ran 5 races a year ago, 4 top 10s, the winner today. Bobby Gerald standing by with Johnny Borneman.
Well, here he is, the happy winner, Johnny Borneman. Congratulations. Talk to me about your first career Winston West win, and what a thrilling way to get it.
Boy, it's I didn't think I had much at the beginning there. I'm doing my best, Dad. He's the man. There's the champ right. Here's the real champ. No, but we lost the cylinder in the first half, and I was like, man, we were sitting duck. But I think that's what helped us win the thing, because we weren't spinning a tire. We're really conservative on tires. And I was just like, man, we're never going to get them. And towards the end, it's backing up. I'm like, this thing's working good. So I want to thank Redline Oil, all my sponsors, Mike Harvick, my dad, my mom, the whole crew. A lot of nights, long nights this week. We wrecked it at Vegas. So this is for them. This is all for them, not for me.
You saw Schmidt getting loose there at the end, and you were able to make the pass. Take us through that whole lap there and sizing him up and making the pass.
Yeah, my dad and Mike Harvick were on the radio with me the whole time saying, just take it easy. You got a car for him. He's loose. Just take it easy. And I pulled it off.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Neat feeling.
Oh, neat feeling.
Neat feeling indeed for Johnny Borneman III, the winner for the first time ever here today in NASCAR Winston West competition. There's the rest of the top 10. Schmidt, Ash, Potashnik, and Herschel McGriff round out the top 5 on the lead lap. And Ross Thompson with a good run to 6th.
Eric Norris, 11th. Matt Dillard down there in 20th spot.
And we'll show you the final 4 finishers. Tim Woods III, who led in the first half of this one, 21st place finish. Let's meet the second place driver. Back downstairs to Bobby.
Well, today, second place for Tony Schmidt. And Tony, you led this thing for a long time, and then right there at the end, he snookered you a little bit. Were the tires just going away?
Yeah, our car was just going away, but we felt like we had a good enough lead early on that we could hang on. We certainly didn't need that caution, but we feel really good. Last week, we didn't even make the show. We didn't have a provisional there in Las Vegas, so for us to bounce back as a brand new team and only our 5th start to come here and lead laps and contend for the win, we feel really spectacular. Really.
You showed them something today.
Yeah, I hope we did. I mean, we're just like everybody else. We're sponsor hunting real hard, so hopefully this will do something to show somebody that we can go out there and get them the right kind of publicity, I really need to say thanks to Moreland Oil and Mechanics Wear and Dana Tire Company right here in Tempe, and a big thank you to my parents, Chuck and Fawn Schmidt. They've been supporting me for about 7 years now. Pretty good.
Family is such an important deal. Congratulations on your second place finish, Tom.
Thank you very much.
An emotional Tony Schmidt. I guess
great.
you could say that's almost as good as a win for a driver like that.
Oh, man. Well, he talked about his mom and dad that have helped him his whole career, and he's just so appreciative. That's great.
Great indeed. Very emotional. Tony Schmidt in victory lane. Mark Reed is still the point leader. 3 races into the season ahead of Austin Cameron. Let's meet the third place runner. Back downstairs to Bobby Gerald.
Well, Brandon Ash gets the 3rd place finish today, and so you'll be standing up there on the box here in a minute. How's that feel?
Oh, it feels great. We struggled this first 2 races. We're a brand new team with new sponsors in Springfield Western Family, Unified Grocers. Richard Hilton gave us an opportunity, and we struggled the first 2 races, but we finally got one together here today and came home 3rd. It's just a great feeling. Now we can carry some momentum into Bakersfield next week.
Yeah, the best seat in the house there for the race for the lead. Were you hoping that maybe they'd get a little overzealous?
I figured they got together down here in 1 and 2, and I thought, man, if they slip up just a hair more, I might be able to sneak win this thing. But the track was a little dirty down here in 3 and 4, and did everything but get into them. And I'm a clean racer, so we'll take it and go on.
Well, congratulations to you on the podium finish.
Thank you very much.
He may be a clean racer, but I'll tell you what, with a couple laps ago, you got to use that chrome horn, as ODW would say. But, look at this. Top 3, Johnny Borneman, first victory. Tony Schmidt, 2nd, 4th race ever.
Great run here at Tucson for many of these drivers. I'm Rick Benjamin for Kenny Wallace and Bobby Gerald. Thanks for watching.